Hello, this is Dale Matthews. I've got this feeling that the flames of perfidy and perdition are just licking at our perfect little world here, and I feel put upon.
Yeah, ditto. I think.
And a tip of the hat to Blazing
For,
Saddles.
yes.
We're continuing with our show from yesterday because you need to know what the center of the new push. This is the latest push to get you to vote for higher and higher and higher taxes. That's now centered around a small group of people that all happen to be on the city council. They're trying to gather in their forces, but they are saying a lot of things about you, the voters, that just refuse to follow your political leaders. What's the matter with you? And so we thought that we would play more of this new public relations campaign that the city council is on, including now the county commissioners, at least one of them, Cheryl Walker, to blame the voters for not being smart enough to follow their leadership. There's a roaring amount of controversy about this. But before the roaring gets too loud, we want you to join us in keeping real quiet while we play back. Here's Keith Eck's reaction to all of this. Okay, nobody make any noise now. Oh, yeah, you almost woke him up there, Mike. That's $100,000 sitting there of benefits and salary. Oh, there he goes over again. Okay.
Oh,
yes. Isn't it nice
Sleep
to
tight.
know that your money is in good hands?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because last night I got off here and I had a couple of things to do, and then I went on Facebook, and there's one guy who always posts stills from our show and then has something about that to say, and he posted a picture of Keith Heck sleeping, and I thought, I didn't even notice that while we were playing that on the show last night, because we were thinking about what Cheryl was saying. And Dale, when he said, here are these two clips that I shot with my camera, but the other one has better audio and the vantage point is different. And so we played that last night and didn't even pay attention to the fact that Keith Heck was asleep during most of it.
So if you want business as usual, you know exactly how to vote now. Okay, yeah. All right, because that combined salary and benefits is over $100,000, and well, sometimes it's a decided improvement. You've seen some of the clips where we played back where Keith was trying to explain this position or asking questions again and again and again and again. This fellow doesn't understand what's going on around him. He drifts in and out, to be fair. He's sometimes there and sometimes at home in a bathtub. And you just never know. In this case, he was at home asleep. So he may be dreaming of retirement. It might be about time to give him his wish. So we'll see. But he is running again. So, and it looks like Dan DeYoung as the running mate of Cheryl Walker for commissioner. I mean, you would think so, but watching, we'll play back some of that. But what we're going to do next is we're going to go into some more audio clips from
continuing
the
on some
Cajo
clips. But Dale had just mentioned, here's the campaign ad for Keith Heck. Well, at the very same time, I think both of these campaign ads were running at the same time, because watch this. This is a clip that we played last night of Cheryl Walker, who never met a tax that she didn't like. So watch this. And, this is the reason not to vote for either one of these people all in one clip.
We frequently hear people that come up and stand at the podiums and say, well, this is government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and you need to do what the people want you to do. And I always have the response that, well, if it's government of the people, by the people, and for the people better darn well pay for it. because there's no one else that's going to pay for it. Government has no money but for the people. If we're the people's representatives, have the fiduciary responsibility to manage that money for the people, for the services they want. If you're demanding a service, you have to provide the money to pay for the service. So I don't know what the answer is going to be. I believe that people need to come forward with viable answers and say, yep, we want $1.29, or we want $1.42, or we want $1.98, whatever it is. They need to come forward and say, we're willing to pay that so that when I dial 911 and I need help out here, I can get it. And I think, I mean, they want it. They all say they want it. But it translates to a few cents on your tax bill.
Yes, if you know, she's going, if you want $1.29, $1.42, $1.98, and he's going.
Well, as long as it's a tax, it doesn't pick any tax you want. You can pick Tony Webb's 99 cents. As long as it's a tax, just go and pay it.
Just a tax.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's pick up where we left off on, on the clips on
you can still vote. You can, and lots of people are voting. You can still vote on that. Just, I even have the same background. I just wanted to be sure that you got a chance to vote on this, and we're getting some good responses from people. What do you think about the way that you're being described by these city councilors and KJO?
Right. Okay. Here we go.
2 days prior to the election at the Y, where I work out, I was having people ask me, are we going to get to vote on it?
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, and we field our share of calls along those lines where, and a lot of what I heard is that when it came down to the sales tax, that county residents felt slighted that they couldn't vote on it.
Oregon state election law says you will vote where you reside.
Right.
Do they reside in the city of Grants Pass? No.
Right.
It was the city of Grants Pass tax. They reside in the state and in the United States, so they can vote United States, state of Oregon, and county elections. As being a resident of the city of Grants Pass, I reside here. I live here. Not just own a home, but I live in that home. That's state election law, and I can vote in city elections, county elections, state elections, and federal elections.
Right.
But
Now, before they show you just how smart they are, do you remember a previous election where the mayor stopped me and said, no, we don't get a chance to vote on that? And I said, I think you do. Oh, no, we don't. No, we don't. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what it was, to be honest. But
that whole thing was about the ordinances, as I recall. And I was trying to say, of course you do, because you live in the county.
Right. Yes.
And it involves everybody. And the mayor says, no, we don't get a chance to vote on that. And I said, well, you know, I'll check it out with Art Harvey if you like, but I'm pretty sure that you do get it. And what the mayor did was and a number of people said, well, I received it in the mail, but I guess I don't get it. The mayor says so. So before this guy, who was sitting right there when it happened and could have said, now, wait a minute, Mr. Mayor, you know, I know things and I'm going to say them later on the radio. And I want to tell you right now, no. Not a single city councilor stood up and defended me or you or the voters. So really? Now, well, how smart are you?
Well, listen, there's a really good reason why people that lived in the county did want to, would have liked to put in their 2 cents in on the sales tax, because they too believed it was a bad idea and it was ultimately going to affect them. But that's part of the reason why the people in the city did this, is because they feel slighted by the county killing off the levy every single time it comes around. They don't like that. They're really ticked off about it. And the sales tax was, you know, a modicum of revenge that they could exact on us. And, you know, we foiled them. Or actually the city people foiled them. You know?
They did. And they had bragged about how the city people, that their own people, the city people, always vote with us. I mean, we're their leaders and they're following their leaders. Now they look back over their shoulder and there's no one following them. Well, what kind of leader are you? Yeah, now they're saying, well, we need to talk with the people who did and find out what they want. Really? You think that might be a good idea?
But you notice, listen, votes. You notice something about what's going on here. In a lot of these clips, these anecdotes that you bring up are all about, they have a theme to them, and that is the people that I talk to are stupid. The people that the people that complain about this are stupid. And listen, I agree. In one particular thing, he was saying, I go to the Y, and it was a week before election day, and people are asking him, do I get to vote on this? Well, now, if he was talking about county people, he was just saying how stupid county people are. But it may well be that there are some people that, I'm sure there's people that live in the city that work out at the Y that, probably were disengaged. There's way too many people disengaged, quite frankly. And that's actually a good thing for those guys down at the city council, because if more people were engaged, that would have been a 90% loss instead of a 78% loss.
I believe that you're right about that. Right. And the idea that the people don't know about this, does it seem obvious to you that these guys didn't get out very much to talk? I mean, how could they have gotten out by thinking that this was just going to go right on through? I mean, all the business, the Chamber of Commerce was against it. What were they thinking? They weren't.
Yeah, they weren't.
Okay, a little bit more.
Anyway, I hope the rest of this clip makes sense after we, sliced it up here. Hang on.
Okay. That's simple. I had a lady call. She said, oh, yeah, well, I should be able to vote. And she said, I'm going to go to Medford if this thing passes. And I said, did Medford let you vote? She said, well, no, why? And I said, because, you're going to go to Medford, but they didn't let you vote. Is that taxation without representation when you go to Medford? Because you're paying all of their taxes, the city business taxes in Medford. It's all amortized down to the end user, and that's you.
Well, I mean, you can't, if you look at it in that
broad,
I mean, people from California should have a vote. Tourists should have a vote.
Yeah, I should be able to vote in California, and I don't. I can't. I don't live there.
I go to California a couple times a year, and with that logic, I should be able to vote in Sacramento and San Francisco and...
Yeah, right. But why would you want to?
Well, I don't. You can go to Sacramento and San Francisco. I don't.
Right. Well, it's just it comes down to a situation that
I don't know why that ended right there, but it did. Yes, I was right. The theme continued. The people are stupid. Contempt for the people. The people are stupid. The theme continues.
Well, what he just gave us the clue to what he was saying. Taxation without representation. No, I don't have representatives in San Francisco, but I supposedly have representatives here, and they're not doing what we want them to do. And so.
But his point there was that people from the county were wanting to vote in that election, and
so you don't raise our prices. I live in the city, but you don't raise Mike's prices. That's one of the reasons. Hey, you're going to raise our prices,
right? Yes, but and listen, this is doubly frustrating for me because I own property in the city. But I don't get to vote in city elections at all. So things that have to do with the raising of my property taxes, if it's a county-wide thing, I have some say. If it's merely a city thing, I don't get to vote on it at all.
Well, do you think that they understand that they've thrown away this political capital that they built up after this debacle?
No, I do not think they understand that at all. It's clear. This is 2 weeks after the election at this radio station.
And they're still doing this. And the guy from KJO has obviously learned no lessons either. Oh, yeah. But here, their reputation was at rock bottom, still above the county commissioners who were lawbreakers. That's nice. And I don't think they represent us. Well, maybe they represent lawbreakers. I guess they need someone to rouse all three of the commissioners. And they were at rock bottom when they've spent over $100,000 each for the bus stops. Okay. Mm-hmm. That looked pretty stupid. And they just worked their way out of that. And then they come up with this brilliant idea, that almost nobody, you can always get 20% of people to vote for just about anything, except for Don Reedy. So here they're doing it again, and they're saying that we're stupid. I mean, really? And the worst part about it for them is that the city voters, Grants Pass city voters, generally went on their own without joining in with the no new taxes crowd and the rest of the county. Okay, well, we can see the value. Now they've had one vote under their belt of teaming up with the people who didn't get a chance to vote. Oh, that's a brilliant political strategy. Now you've shown the people in the city that they've got a lot in common with the no new taxes people out in the county. Let's work together. And to alleviate that situation, they're now going to insult everybody.
Yeah, I agree. This is actually, I think this is an opportunity situation, and for the reason that you mentioned, that now there is this common ground, and I hope that these people who found their common ground with us will keep that common ground with us the next time this thing comes around, because we supported them. We pushed hard for the no that they wanted on this sales tax. And I hope that they understand that there was a lot of forces even in the county that were pushing on that. And
a lot of the voters pamphlet, that teensy little voters pamphlet thing. You may recall Sandy Casanelli said, "Why are you charging us so much as just one sheet of paper on two different sides?" Chosen by Art Harvey, by the way. We now have the answer to that. Who chose this? That was Art Harvey. What did they do with all the rest of the money? Because it was like 10 times more than what it costs to do that. So, and what a ripoff that was. Okay, but it may signal. We'll find out in May. The beginning of the end for imperial leadership that just goes ahead and puts this on you and is not listening to you even afterwards. They didn't hear anything.
Yep.
Okay, Mike has chosen these clips. Let's hear to the next one that you chose, Mike.
The solution or the suggestion of a sales tax, what I think a lot of people lost sight of is it was a temporary fix. And
why is this guy still talking?
Tax, that's it. We're in for the long run. It'll do nothing but go up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I think when I sat back and digested all the pros and cons that I heard, the one factor that nobody seemed to like was taxable items that could be added without voter consent. And that was kind of a sticking point to where, nobody wants to leave the door open for additional charges they have no say in.
But you say that, Marty, and I guess a guy like me would be encouraged to do that, change that facet of it and send it out to the voter. But those exact same people that brought that up, I'll put it this way. The council never once considered adding and taking away and all the behind the backdoor stuff and the backdoor ideas that came up after we put the ballot measure out. That didn't come from us. It came from somebody else. It didn't come from us. Oh yeah, they're gonna. Well, I don't work on they're gonna. Maybe other people do, but I don't. And that's number one. We didn't think of that. And so it was a bad day. We thought it was a good idea. Guess what? We tried it. It lost. We're happy with it. We know we're never going to do that again. And I'm not going to come back and do what you just said and say, well, yeah, if you change that, because then they're going to find something else. They'll find another little niche in it and go for it. Another statement that came out said that the city council instructed the city attorney to write the ballot measure so that could happen. We didn't instruct the city attorney to do anything. The city attorney wrote the ballot measure, and it's only so many words you can put in a ballot measure. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you can't go on and with a diatribe from here to Mount Baldy trying to explain every nuance of it. You can't do it. They don't allow it in the pamphlet.
Right.
So there wasn't room for the word permanent. Mike, there just wasn't room for that. That one word, there wasn't enough room.
No, they didn't want it in there because they didn't want people to know that it was permanent. But you see, again, complete contempt. And here's an interesting thing, because he brought up something that I think is legit. He says, we didn't write that. That was added in. What is the function of the council anyway? What is the function of these people? Do they just get fed whatever the staff decides to feed them in order to get a yes vote out of them, and then they make changes to it however they want to, and throw it on the ballot? Is that how it works? Because if that's how it works, what is the point of having a counselor?
They are supposed to approve this stuff. Of course, the
Right.
staff spoon feeds them everything.
Yes,
Okay.
they do.
And when they pick their new interim counselors, it's going to be the staff that's giving them advice about what to do. The staff is really the center of most of this stuff. And these guys just kind of, rubber stamp stuff, especially now.
Rubber stamp on it. Well, maybe, just maybe, you might want to look a little bit deeper into this stuff to figure out what's actually going on, and not just what's being fed to you, so they can get the vote out of you that they want to get out of you. You're a puppet. How do you like that? You're a puppet.
The thing that really bothers me about this too is that we've had people say to us, well, they need to get out more often. That's not the problem. People came in and talked to them, and they talked to them, and they talked to them, and they talked to them. They didn't hear them. Dan DeYoung was, obviously these people don't want law enforcement. Where in the world did you get that idea?
Their denial is willful. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, some of you may have noticed that sometimes when Mike's mouth moves, it's not a product of Japanese anime. Sometimes when his mouth is moving, different words are coming out. It's because it's highly edited.
No. It's not that different words are coming out. It's just that the moving of my lips is not in sync with it, and that's a internet vagrant intercepting the screen there.
Internet vagrant. So
yes.
Recently. He'll be talking and I'll be saying something, and suddenly he'll be quiet. It's not because I'm trying to be rude. It just comes to me naturally. It's not that. It's because it's hard to tell when each of us is talking. And so we'll do what we can about that. And if that bothers you, you have a chance to vote on that as well. That doesn't bother me very much. That really bothers me a whole lot.
Oh, yes, that's right. Exactly. Okay. All right. There's more. There's more.
Oh, yeah, there's more.
So, and then another one was Sandy Casanelli's come to the council meetings twice. She wanted to know why the voter's pamphlet was just on one sheet of paper and the print was so small, and she paid $350 or whatever it was, and had some misspelled words in her thing and some punctuation errors. And she's blaming the city council for that. We didn't collect. There was $7,750 or something collected from those.
Okay, hang on just a second, because this right here is proof that they didn't pay any attention. It's a bizarre thing. The person is standing there right in front of them. They're well lit. They're on video. They've got a microphone in front of them.
And they're staring. Twice.
They're staring into the eyes of all the counselors. If they care to pay attention, you would have known she wasn't blaming you. She wanted to know what's going on with this. And had you had the courtesy to listen to her, maybe the first time, then you could have answered her. A very, very calm little exchange of ideas there. You wouldn't have all this resentment built up here. This Dan DeYoung guy, people respect him and think he's a great guy. I think he's the Grinch, for crying out loud.
Well, I used to.
He hates the citizens. It's clear that's true.
When you've got 19 or 20 different people that put in $350, I think that's what it is, a piece. And some of them are county residents, really. And they're trying to say to you what their feelings are. That's a lot of statements. And typically what happens is you get two of them on a page. And they're 8.5 by 11 or whatever the final dimensions are, regular size pages in a pamphlet. You're paying for that so that people can read it. And you don't want the type to be so small that you need a magnifying glass. Okay? Now, so what happened is, as it turned out, it was Art Harvey, but she couldn't get anyone to give her an answer. She asked twice, never did get an answer, except on this radio show.
Right. So here, let's listen to the rest of Dan DeYoung insulting everybody, including Sandy Casanelli.
Those voters pamphlet responses. Mm-hmm. We didn't collect any of that. That all goes through the county courthouse through Art Harvey, the elections official over in the courthouse. We didn't have anything to do with it. Why she came to the city council, and she did it twice. And I tried to respond to her, and there's no way to get a hold of her. I finally got a hold of her email, and I sent her an email, but she never responded. So I hope she got it.
Yeah. There's no way to get hold of her. There's no way to get hold of her. She was a county commissioner. Her phone number and her email are out there. He easily could have contacted her anytime through
He could
us.
have responded then.
He could have said something to her.
Yeah,
he could have gotten up off of his duff and gone over and said, Sandy, by the way, blah, 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 blah. You know,
of course.
There was no way to respond to her.
Standing right in front of her. You know, they have their little protected time at the end of, you know, just like they do in the county commissioners meetings. It would have been very, very simple for Mr. DeYoung to just go, well, I was making some notes during that whole thing.
And here's her answer. We would have told her because we watch it all the way through to the bitter end.
Right. And guess what? You know, the commissioners do that. You might want to take some notes from the commissioners. Sometimes they're writing furiously as to how they're going to respond to us in their protected time. So, well,
they call us names and insults and stuff like that, just the same as the mayor does at the end there. Well, they asked this question, and that really shows that, hey, that's not nice, but okay. With new commissioners, there's going to be an end to that. Okay, that kind of stuff will no longer be allowed. It won't even occur to anybody except for Simon Hare. Why would it even occur to us to insult the citizens at the end where we're under our protected time? Really, that's got to be the end of that. But he easily could have answered a question during his time. Oh, I have your answer, and here it is. I hope somebody tells you this. We would have told her.
Well, he needed to save it up so that he can insult her on the radio.
By name. That's always nice. Why did she come twice? Because she didn't get an answer the first time. And when she asked the second time, she didn't get an answer. We don't know how to reach our citizens. Really? Yeah. You don't know how to get hold of some. I mean, play the next clip. This is ridiculous.
I think we were in the middle of one.
Okay.
Just to kind of recap the first portion of the talk show, the issue of basically county funding is whose lap it falls into for operating the jail, prosecution, juvenile justice, etc. That was previously funded by O&C timber receipts. That has gone. It's not coming back.
Oh, who
if
says
it does come back, it's probably 20 years down the road.
What?
So we need a short-term solution to have adequate law enforcement in the county, prosecution in the city for whatever goes on, and so we're trying to find solutions for that funding gap, and that's kind of where we are right now. And I don't think anything's changed. We still need a solution.
Not for you.
You're right.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that's changed is that the reckoning hour, the day of reckoning is getting closer. Every day we sit here and talk about it, and we've talked about it on this show every month for.
It's been months,
since I've been aboard here.
For years.
We're still no closer to that solution.
Yeah.
Well, now we know why we're no closer to a solution. Because you have four choices: higher taxes, or higher taxes, or higher taxes, or higher taxes.
Right.
Those are your four solutions. That's the only ones that they have.
And you know what? I mean, it's been said to them before, and I feel like we're beating a dead horse when you go back to this all the time. That they can make cuts in other areas, even though they say they're cut to the bone. They clearly aren't. Now, interesting here. Last night after the program, I got an email from Bill Hunker.
Okay.
And I can't find it here right now, but essentially what he was saying was that, I mentioned the elevated number of
OSP
that are operating in the county. And, he said to me that we are not, per capita, per thousand, we are not getting our share of the OSP. Jackson County gets more than we do.
Really?
And so, you heard Dan DeYoung earlier in the program, that was on last night's program, complaining that they're spending resources in here that like we're using OSP to the detriment of some other county or some other part of the state. Not true.
Yes.
Apparently
that's what he said. All right. Yes, that is what he said.
So, I mean, these guys, they need to be informed. They need to listen, and they need to listen. see a counselor or something like that to deal with your anger.
Well, that's what they're supposed to be, city counselors.
Right, exactly. Well, turn to the other counselor on your left and say, I really have a lot of resentment for those people who voted no. What can I do about that? Is he going to find
any other points of view, not among the staff or the city
other
counselors?
Guy will say, I have those feelings too. Let me tell you how it makes me feel.
Have you noticed now that they've done a seamless transition from pushing for, is there a difference? Pushing for a city sales tax and now pushing for the levy. They haven't missed a beat. This levy thing is now full on. And they are not paying attention to the fact that we've said no all those times. We'd like them to find some other kind of solution. If you can't find another solution, which we've suggested several, if you cannot find another solution, get out of office.
Yes, that's a nice suggestion. Okay, there's more.
And we touched on this, the bill that Kitzhaber put in place for the taxes in Josephine County. That could just come out of nowhere, depending on, that's at the whim of the current governor.
Why are the city councilors even there?
When the way we understand it, as explained yesterday, is that if we can't keep the citizens safe, if they
but who makes that determination?
Well, the commissioners can request it. Mm-hmm. There is a separate item that they can request, but if the jails.
Yes, and the people could suggest a recall. If they're going to operate behind our back against our will, and Cheryl looks the most likely to be doing this, as you saw in that clip that we showed at the top of the program, she is the most likely to push for going around the will of the citizens and going direct to Salem and saying, hey, these guys aren't doing what we want them to do. We want you to come in and impose this tax. If they do that, and they could do that, we would probably get stuck with that. And we'd have nobody to blame but ourselves if we happen to have voted for Cheryl Walker.
Well, that's true. Also, it's possible that over the last decade that the citizens in the county and the citizens in the city feel like they've got pretty good law enforcement, but they're reluctant to come out into the county because it's the Wild West out there. It's dangerous.
Okay, yeah, and now that you mention that, I'm going to put this chart up, and then I'm going to make an adjustment to it because I noticed on last night's program that it wasn't in the proper location. So let me see if I can pull that over so you can see the end. Okay, that's the proper end of it. If you look at those, the two 2013 and 2014 numbers there, and the red numbers are the county. Our crime is pretty darn low in the county. It is a lot higher in the city than it is in the county. So, generally speaking, we don't really need somebody to offer us a solution. It looks like we have a solution. And, it would always be nice to have, some more road patrols. And we could have had those had the commissioners just voted for that $1 million or 500,000 or whatever to come out of road funds to supply it. So
they just spent they were willing to spend $135,000 on tests of the water that didn't need to be done. That came out of the general fund. Okay, and they even said, well, yes, even Cheryl said this could be spent on a sheriff, deputy, and a car. Okay, now that you've not spent it, let's spend it on a sheriff, deputy, and a car. Yeah. One more thing. Could you bring up those bars? Bring up those bars again. Let's take one more look at this. Let's suppose that Mike and I are full of beans. Okay, all right. And that the 5% there from Bill Hunker, 5 crimes per 1,000 compared to the 175.
Oh, no, that's actually 25. It's I know
25.
It's hard to read, but it's 25. But it's the lowest. It's the lowest in years.
Okay, let's suppose that the 25 and the 175 are way off because Nobody reports anything that's stolen, not even to their insurance company. Their car is stolen, but they think, well, I think I'm not going to report that because I might get money back from the insurance company. I'm just not going to report it. And nobody's doing that out in the county. Okay, nobody at all. Okay, let's suppose that the numbers are actually equal. It's not 25, 175. It's one. Both of them are 175. Okay, let's just suppose that for a second.
Okay.
If that's the case, then why would anyone in the county want more law enforcement if it's equal to the city? If it was equal, it's not equal. But even if it was equal, why would they want more law enforcement? We're getting, in a cost-benefit analysis, we're getting exactly then what we want. It's reaches a stasis point. Just look at there. It's pretty much even. And that's with that. And so less and less spending. We're finding the perfect point, because we're not getting that coverage out in the county anyway. Right. And if that's where the crimes are, then we have found the perfect point and stop spending more. We've spent less and less and less and less, but look at the numbers. We've spent, let me say that again. We've spent less and less and less and less, but look at the numbers.
Yeah, right. It's actually a lesser, and these numbers, they're the legit, they're the real deal here.
Right, let's just suppose, I'm sorry to interrupt, let's just suppose that they're not the real deal, that it's equal. Well, then why, even if the blue bar and the red bar were equal to each other, why would you spend more when you're getting the same amount of crime from the number of police officers they have in the city and the number out in the county? You're not going to spend more. If that red bar was way up over the top of the whole graph, you might think to spend more, even if it was equal, which it's not.
Yeah, right. I see your point there, although they do spend more in the city. They spend a lot more. They're spending like $6 a 1,000, whereas people out in the county are paying less than that.
So are they spending it wisely? That's the question. Is that a wise expenditure? Well, look at the numbers.
I don't think they are. And it's funny because when we were doing these shows in the early part of last year, it was clear that throughout this that the numbers were essentially 80% city, 20% crime in the county, and it stayed pretty much like that. Now you kind of have actually a divergence where it's actually 85-15 or less than that in the county than it is in the city. How bizarre. And so I don't totally buy into the urgency. I know why they use it, because they're trying to sell the levy in that way, but that doesn't mean that we totally have to buy into that.
Well, the reason you know that that's false, the objective reason that you know that that's false, is that emergency situation died down to zero.
Yeah.
Except for Mike and I and a couple other people standing up at the weekly business session. Hey, wait a minute. What happened to the emergency? Because
the
we
levy
want to
push is over.
Well, but there's your answer. What emergency? If they stop talking about it altogether.
The levy pushes over, and it's no longer important anymore, and so we're not doing it. And listen, you're going to see a rise in the fervor again during the next push, which is probably going to start in January.
It's already started. You can hear them. They've started it already.
Yeah, they just haven't announced it. It's not out there for they haven't.
Our viewers have no trouble reading between the lines of what they're saying now. What Cheryl said at the meeting. What Darren Fowler said on the front page of the Courier, what they're saying at KJO. Well, where's the leadership from the county? What do you mean? Where's how come the commissioners aren't pushing for another levy?
Oh, and that's a very interesting piece of tape, and I hope that we get that for the program here in the near future, because there is a little thing there where they're going back and forth talking about that, and very, very interesting stuff. But
Cheryl says, we pushed for the last 3 levies. And then Heck wakes up from a stupor and says, oh, no, we only pushed for one of those.
Well, and
except we've got him on tape initiating the project. We have him on tape. Why, next time that you chortle in the audience, so you're going to have to leave this room. We have you on tape.
Yeah, the only reason why he made us think about that is because he is trying to distance himself as much from, because he does actually understand that the levy is not a popular thing. Cheryl just doesn't get that. And I think Keith Heck knows in his heart of hearts that even if he makes it through, Cheryl is probably not going to make it through because, number one, everybody pretty much has got her number. Number two, we are going to plaster her saying $1.99, $1.42, 99 cents, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
well, okay, but there is still a little problem with all that. There are lots of different interest groups in this area who are saying, let's be wise about how we spend our money. There's not enough of them apparently, but there's a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And everybody has their own plan of how to be sure that people are informed. Nobody wants to work with anybody else. Okay, we've got the footage right here where you can say, here's what Cheryl Walker says. You've got your 3 or 4 alternatives. They're all taxes. You just pick the amount of tax that you want. Hey, look, it's a what a wonderful idea. Every group has a different, well, I think we should emphasize what she was wearing, or I think we should emphasize that Keith Heck was asleep, or nobody wants to work, honestly now, I'm criticizing our friends. They don't want to work together. If we were to work together, we could afford to get some ads. We'll do the ads for free. But we could work together and put ads out there where people would see now or pretty soon what it is that they're saying. But they're going to want to write their own radio ad, or let's emphasize, some other goofy point or whatever. But this goes straight to the heart. This is what she's saying. You have 4 alternatives.
Well, and listen, we'll do that. They're not, you know what?
We'll try.
These are the problems that you deal with when you're talking about a grassroots. Over on the other side, they're going, this is how it's going to be, and everybody else is going, Achtung,
Yes, that's right. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they know exactly how to, everybody's a soldier. We're all marching in lockstep, and we say the same things, and we push the same fear and stuff like that. And none of us on our side, like Dale just said, we're all disjointed. We're all doing our own thing, and perhaps in an odd way, that's how somehow the strength of this whole thing. Who knows?
Oh, again, like when the Martians invade, right? They invade, and what brings them down? They're killing everybody, and the only thing that brings them down is the little tiny microbes, because we cough, and then they catch it, and that's what kills them. Look, you have a vote. Cheryl mentioned 3 or 4 taxes. Figure out which tax you want. Are you slightly perturbed by a small tax? Here's a Tony Webb tax, 99 cents, and here's a little bit more, and here's a little bit more, and here's a little bit more. Vote for the tax that you like. I'm really upset about those taxes. I'm not that upset about those taxes. Feel free. Go ahead and vote. Right. What amount of flames do you feel?
Yes.
We don't get paid for this. Just go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I think I did interrupt a thing about 5 minutes ago, so I hope it makes sense. So here we go.
Close in 17, then they can step in. They don't need to be invited. If they feel that we can't take care of the public, then they're going to step in.
They mean in the state.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the state. Yeah, sorry.
And people say, "Wow, they don't have a dog in this fight." Well, yes, they do, because we all pay for state troopers. State troopers are strapped just like everybody else, and they've got 12 troopers assigned to Josephine County, where usually we would have 3 to 4.
What?
Okay. So we're using resources that should go other place on the traffic system.
Well, we need to talk with Bill to see if that's just an out-and-out lie.
Well, and I think it is. I think it is. Listen, Bill knows what's going on with that. Dan DeYoung is not even looking at the numbers. He doesn't even know what's going on.
Well, and if you want to put that in context, remember last night, Dan DeYoung said, this is on another topic, but he said the reason the Manor development deal didn't go through, and why he brought that up, I don't know, was because there wasn't adequate safety out there. Dan, where did you pull that out of? I mean, that's a place we don't talk about on the show, because this is a family kind of show. That's just completely made up from
contrived. Yeah, completely. Yeah, he just making it up. And listen, but you understand, this is all, everything he's saying is to support the basic theme is that he's really, really mad. He seems like a happy guy. Yeah. And he says he's a happy guy. This guy is not a happy guy. This guy is angry. He's just, listen, the thing that we should be scared of is if Dan DeYoung did what he wanted to do. Because he's very angry. He doesn't like these people. You know, these 80% of the people that voted against the thing that he backed, he hates those people.
And that's not even counting
You're
the county
so stupid.
Yes. That's not even counting the county. So he can run for city council or county commissioner. And which one would he be best for? If he hates the city voters, imagine what he thinks about the county voters.
Oh, yeah. No, well, he's already expressed that he doesn't like the county voters either. So, you know, really, what are you doing? Why are you there? See, this is you guys, you get in that little micro bubble there and you think you know what's going on. You only know what's going on in there. And even that's rarefied air stuff. You guys have your own little environment in there and you don't know. You really don't. Why don't you go out and talk to people, and instead of having the preconceived notion that I need to convince this moron of the superiority of my thinking, and you just listen to them, they'll tell you. They could have told you, but you weren't open to it.
They did tell them, and they didn't need to go out there. The people came in and talked to them. Yeah. They still can't hear them.
Yeah, you weren't listening.
Getting emails from you based on clicking on these, and they don't like them. They don't like that. Why, you're criticizing us. Yes. Did you get that point from the poll that we actually call a vote? Did you get any of that point? Well, that's just because they're misinformed. Who's the one that's misinformed?
Yeah.
We're the misinformed ones? Are you kidding me? They haven't learned any lessons at all.
Well, we have about enough time for one more clip and then the response to it, because our responses have been, long. Yes. So here we go.
One of the things with goal setting, and the counselors and I were visiting about this before the show, is one of our main things, I think, at goal setting, we really got to do something about attacking this homeless problem, the vagrancy problem, and the vandalism, and the complete disrespect for other people's property. That has got to be ratcheted up around here, and I don't know how to do it, but we're certainly going to have some really long, hard discussions.
So whatever happens, it's going to be unpopular with some
you
sector.
Better believe it's going to be unpopular.
But I was hearing from one of our citizens just the other day about the area along Foundry, along the railroad tracks out there, and a lot of the camps, if you will, are set up out there, and the litter situation, and just whatever they don't want, they just leave in the bushes and along the railroad tracks. It's they could help their own cause a little bit by being a little more responsible.
Well, and the problem is that to carry that one step further, they get done with clothes and they just throw them away because somebody's going to give them new ones.
Yeah, right.
Somebody's going to give them replacement clothes, so they just throw the other one alongside the tracks and away you go.
You know what? And here we have a slight point of agreement, because I believe that in this country right now, with the level of funding that we give to social services and the amount of charity that is handed out in this town, we have to start weeding out making distinctions between the people who are actually going to be helped and move up out of being in dire poverty, or the ones who choose to be there and walk around and disrespect the town that they are being hosted in, and they're committing crimes. They're urinating and defecating outside in places where it's not welcome. They're leaving garbage everywhere, stealing, things of that nature, that kind of stuff. I don't know why there isn't more of a crackdown. So I'm a little bit in agreement with Mr. DeYoung.
Okay, so then I've got a little bit of a rant here. Okay. If you're talking about trash, What about the junk ordinances? If you're talking about leaving defecation all over the place, what about some of the things that the county commissioners have done with their laws, and some of the things that these guys, it's just a different kind of defecation. If you're talking about not having respect for the kinds of things that are happening here and property rights, what about not having respect for the property owners and continually trying to raise their rates by, what about respect for the people that are running the businesses in the area? Why, those homeless people don't have any respect. Do you have any respect for your own city by trying to run these businesses out of business? Where's your respect?
That's a great point, because earlier on in these clips, they were talking about how much they were doing for the downtown, and they didn't get any back, and they were really sore because we weren't getting any pats on the back. Well, maybe the reason why you didn't get any pats on the back is because you were trying to then, I don't want to come up with a nice word. I wanted to say screw these guys down there and take the money from the vendors down there who are going to see a lesser number of patrons as a result, and they're going to they may well have to close up and go somewhere else. And you're wondering why they're not down there patting you on the back.
And
that's amazing.
We've got this old phrase, and some people are not up with this. They don't remember this, eating the seed corn. And basically what it means is you're supposed to save a certain amount of the seeds to, plant the corn crops for next year. If you eat the seed corn, you're not going to have any for next year.
Yes,
so if you eat the businesses, and you put them out of business, and the mayor is saying, well, if it doesn't work, then we'll just keep it going for another couple of years. What? Really?
It's a great analogy, and it's amazing that they don't get any of this stuff. They don't get any of that at all. And the more that I see their meetings, the more I understand. Wow, yeah, I understand why he was able to be out on the sidewalk and tell me we'd wait a couple of years after.
The people are coming in to tell them. They're coming in and they're begging them. The Chamber of Commerce is begging them. They've always been on their side for every tax that ever came along, except for this one. They didn't hear any good ideas. The Chamber of Commerce lady gets up. She says, I've always been for law enforcement. Dan DeYoung says, well, no, apparently nobody's for law enforcement. Rob Pell, I've always been for law. Well, apparently no one's for law enforcement. Mark Hutto, I was involved with, helping solve. I guess nobody's interested in law enforcement. This guy is tone deaf. And one last thing, when you're talking about, well, the homeless are here and they're breaking the law. Brother, we hear this from the county commissioners all the time. Well, what about the lawlessness out there? Hey, 3 commissioners, what about the lawlessness in here? You have been found guilty by the State Ethics Commission for breaking the law. We don't need to look out there. We don't need to look at ISIS. We can look right here in this room, in this Ann Basker Auditorium, and find that you've been breaking the law. We've said it all along. Wally Hicks has been helping you recently break the law. And now, finally, the state's gone, all right. Yes, they broke the law. Now, of course, they're saying that they didn't. We don't need to look all over the place. It starts with 2 more commissioners that don't break the law. It's pretty dang simple.